Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Adi and today I have another Salt Lake City team report with another top player. We have Alex Arand. Alex, how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm back in college. Flight was pretty good from back from Salt Lake City. Came back with a top four and a Worlds invite, so I'm quite happy.
Yeah, and so you had a really incredible run at Salt Lake City, but first, for anyone who doesn't know you, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Azulite, otherwise known as Alex Arand. I've been playing for about 20, like late 2016 after Worlds. Is when I started playing. I found out about BGC from Pokemon Amino, of all things. And then I think I won my first Premier Challenge as a senior, and then I just kind of went from there. I played in 2017 Worlds, and I also played in 2019 Worlds. And I wasn't really active during online stuff, but I'm very happy that in-person events are back.
Yeah, definitely. It's great to be back. It's great to see everyone again. Actually, have that feel of competing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and if obviously you did really well in the last event that we had before everything shut down at Collinsville 2020, where I believe you got top four. Is that right?
Again, yeah.
And and then
Duraludon.
Yeah, and then picked up right where you left off, getting top four at Salt Lake City, the first regional back with Palkia. So, do you want to tell everyone about how you built this team or came up with this team?
Yeah, so originally we were like, all right, Palkia is pretty cool. Pretty much an auto win and a swordfish. Well, not an auto win, it's like an 80-20. But if they don't have player, if it's like an auto win, essentially. Because most stations are always just going to die to the max quake. We were very interested in Megan's team from Brisbane with the, I believe it was Calyrex Ice, Palkia, Aleki, Amoonguss, Dusclops, all that stuff. But we wanted to make it better. However, during testing, we found that the Yveltal matchup was very bad. Like, specifically Life Orb Yveltal, we did not like it at all. So then we started experimenting with, like, Porygon 2, Indeedee, which we came up with, which we eventually stuck with. And Tapu Fini as well. We tried Calm Mind Tapu Fini, but it was not very good. It did win against Yveltal, but it just felt like a weight that I didn't really want to carry through the tournament. Because it was only really good until like Yveltal, and Zacian just blows you up anyways. So the prototype of the team looked like this, but there is a Calyrex Ice instead of a Zacian. I think Amoonguss was Sash at some point, and Indeedee was Psychic Seed, but we gave Indeedee Sash because we wanted to live the Max Darkness from a Yveltal, and be able to click like Helping Hand plus X, for example. So then we were like, all right, let's just slap let's slap Zacian on top of Calyrex Ice because we don't really want to like it's just more consistent essentially. I didn't really feel that Calyrex Ice would do too well, or like after playing a little bit with it, it just didn't really feel that great in best of three.
It's interesting that you guys started with Calyrex Ice over Zacian because I think I was looking at the teams that did well in the March International Challenge, and I think that one of the teams was exactly these same six Pokemon, but with Calyrex Ice over Zacian. I know.
I think it's Malukas, right?
Maluka had built the Calyrex Ice Palkia originally, but it was a different player who had been using these six specifically. And I remember, because obviously, if you've been watching my channel, you know that I also ran these same six Pokemon at Salt Lake City. And I know I saw that team and was like, I wonder if we're just supposed to be using Calyrex Ice, and definitely tested that out. And I agree. I thought that Zacian just felt better on this comp as well. Yeah. So it's interesting that you guys also came about that same six.
And then also we, I think, because we have a couple of people in our group, and it was Zekrom, Zeke, and a couple other people. And I think one of them probably played you or Gavin on ladder at some point, and they were like, yeah, this looks good. Because we were literally talking about like, oh yeah, maybe we swap Zacian, maybe we don't. And I think playing you probably kind of reaffirmed that.
It's probably Gavin. He ladders a lot more than I do, but yeah. The team definitely felt really good on ladder as well. So not surprised. And I mentioned this in my team report, but I heartily encourage everyone to steal teams on ladder when you see them. That's just the way that ideas perpetuate, and nothing's totally original.
I think you all but reaffirmed that Calyrex Ice was not the call, specifically for these six.
Yeah. And so that being said, you did end up developing this on your own and coming up with some very different movesets and EV spreads and the like. And so, do you want to talk about the Pokemon and how you train them?
Yeah. So, just a fair warning: this was built at about 7 p.m. on Friday. So some of these are not optimized, but I will say what I think it can be changed. The Palkia was a default spread. I didn't really have anything that was bulkier. We were running out of time. This lives, I think it's like a 12% chance to live a play rough from full, something like that. Like at +1. But also it's actually really useful into the mirror when I did play it in the tournament. But otherwise, I mean, it was just default Palkia. It wasn't anything special. This Zacian I got from Eclipse Owl, otherwise known as Owen. He runs the Mount Silver stuff if you've seen his name around. For those who don't know. This was mostly just to outspeed bulkier Zacians like your own. And anyone who went like 180 speed, I just speed crept that, so that's 181. This lives the Blade at neutral and the Max Quake at -1.
Did you feel like did your game plans involving Thundurus involve outspeeding it with Zacian? I'm very curious because I'm a firm believer that on this team at least, Zacian doesn't have to outspeed Thundurus because the Thundurus matchup doesn't include Zacian leads.
I kind of agree. It just kind of felt like awkward at times, like just specifically against like the Calyrex Shadow teams. It was just annoying. Like getting that blade off is nice, and having that speed is nice. But I generally went to I wanted to keep it around like 180, 181 because I wanted to underspeed other Zacians so I could outspeed them in Trick Room, which did come up when we were talking about our top 8 match against, or my top 4 against Chongjun. But yeah, I guess I'll talk about the Porygon 2 next. So that spread is from Chase, otherwise known as Tiki Chase. I didn't really see any Urshifu on ladder like ever. Or like Sacred Sword, it was like whatever, right? I'm usually intimidating, or if I'm gonna go Trick Room, I'm probably leading like Instant Porygon 2 anyways. So I didn't really care that I was like bold. This it actually like being calm and living those like water spouts and max airstreams from like Zapdos was like so useful. And that's how I actually won my win and end. So again, another way to just deter Swordfish from doing anything to you.
And then why did you run the moves that you did on Porygon 2?
Analytic was actually, I saw Colin do really well with it. When he cut, I believe it was Victory Road, yeah. It also came up in like it basically just annihilates any Solgaleo that decides to do any weakness policy stuff. I actually did play a Solgaleo Yveltal team during the run, and it was it just got blown up because Dark Aura plus Foul Play, you know. But yeah, Eerie Impulse. I personally think Foul Play Eerie Impulse is probably the best set for Porygon right now. It's just such a good utility tool, and being able to just punish Zacian. You punish Zacians with Foul Play. It does a lot. It does like 40% with that analytic boost. And just generally, punishing Kyogres, punishing Dialgas, Palkias, anything that just wants to spam max moves and try and not take as many KOs as possible. If you Eerie Impulse them, they're just screwed.
I definitely thought it was really important for Calyrex Shadow, for example, for
and that too.
All the like big dragon matchups, right? Like Dialga can be a little annoying at times, and this really helps with that. So, yeah, Eerie Impulse definitely almost feels like a given on Porygon 2 in this metagame.
Yeah. The Incineroar. At times, I wish I was Shuka. Goggles was helpful. I did play Jeremy Boyd, who you did do a team report with, I believe. I was one of his only losses in Swiss, and that was because of this Goggles Incineroar. That kind of saved my butt there. And I found out game 2 that he was Sasha Mungus, and I lost because of that, unfortunately. But yeah, that came in clutch against those specific matchups, like I said with Jeremy. But otherwise, like against Joe, I wish I had Shuka, because then I may have had a chance of winning. But yeah, it's just I want the more special side because it's just nice for living stuff like Dialga and Palkia and Kyogre out of rain, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess again, comparing it to the version that I brought, I had a substitute on Zacian, which helped with the Amoonguss, right? Because you can Amogus doesn't do much if you just click substitute in front of it. But
True. Yeah.
if you don't have that, and honestly, you're probably not supposed to have that, then you do need a little bit of counterplay against
Play
that.
rough was
The downside,
useful. Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
my team had play rough over a Sacred Sword, and I regretted that too because I beat the Ferrothorns I faced, but my teammates did not, and so Sacred Sword definitely mandatory on this team. But the opposite end of the spectrum is that the team has no ground resists.
It does not. No, which is a
obviously
problem.
It is a little bit of a problem when you are facing when the best team in the format, the team that's won 2 regionals, has 2 ground types on it, and so that was why we had Chuckaberry on the Incineroar War. But I mean, I guess we'll talk about that matchup in a little bit. But
we will.
Other than that, honestly, there aren't a ton of ground types that you're very scared of because you have a Palkia, right? Like you just kind of nuke all the ground types.
Max Stormwind. Also, P2 is a ground resist if you think about it hard enough. But yeah,
P2 is a ground resist.
So the Indeedee, during testing, we were thinking about Psychic Seed, as I said earlier. However, it was just like Yveltal just became super annoying. So we just decided to do Sash. I believe there was like a specific combination of like Max Quake plus Expanding Force to knock out Shadow Rider, and we weren't picking up that KO without like special attack investment, so we decided to just dump it into special attack. It was actually very useful when people just did like random switch-ins thinking I'd click follow me. When I'm doing like 50% to a Palkia that swaps in, just with Expanding Force, it's kind of funny. But yeah, just going the modest 252 special attack was like really clutch. And then I guess the Amoonguss. I know you went Seed Bomb. I decided to do Energy Ball because I was missing the KOs of Giga Drain, and that was kind of annoying. Energy Ball was a bit of a last minute thing. I think Seed Bomb might be better, but I think that's just a player preference thing, or Pollen Puff for that matter.
What were your thoughts on Pollen Puff versus Energy Ball, and why did you pick the grass move?
Gastro was just sometimes annoying. I did play a couple, and it did come up sometimes, like just the threat of it. Like if they protected it and they saw Energy Ball, it was like they had to play a lot more defensive now, right? Because they don't have a way to stop the Energy Ball unless they knock out Amoonguss. And also, the reason why I Mental Herb over like Koba or Sash is because a lot of the teams like Palkia and Palkia plus Ice Rider were using the Dusclops with Taunt, and that was kind of annoying. So this just basically makes it an auto win because they can't stop Amoonguss.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know that that was a team that was that, and the Yveltal team that you've talked about really were like picking up in popularity right before Salt Lake City regionals. Before. I think a lot of us were really, really concerned about that. And they've kind of fallen off. I know that obviously Z and Animus did really well with the Life Orb Yveltal team. But other than that, I think both of us haven't really had great showings, both in Salt Lake City and at Liverpool. It's kind of surprising.
I think. I think the Yveltal team still definitely has a place at least. But yeah, I can see why they're falling off because they're not very good against. I think people are just trying to break the Joe team right now. But otherwise, yeah, I can see why. I see what you mean.
Yeah. And so I guess, did you ever consider any other moves on any of your Pokemon? Because all these Pokemon are pretty standard right now, but obviously all these Pokemon have 5 or 6 different moves they could run. Did you ever consider anything else?
I wish I considered Trick Room over Protect on Palkia. I think that would be really good. Usually when I team build, I usually follow like a 3 Protect rule. Because otherwise I feel like you don't have enough options. You just have Protect. There are some Swordfish matchups where I could have just clicked like follow me Trick Room with Palkia, and all they can do is click Water Spout, and there's nothing they can do, right? Because they're not doing enough damage. I wish I had that, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be. I guess I just didn't think about that. Again, like the Amoonguss was a last minute decision. Pollen Puff could work too. And also substitute maybe, but then again, like I think this team needs play rough. Like there really isn't a choice for that. Yeah. A choice in the matter for that. Incineroar, I was debating the dark move, maybe faster than going Throat Chop or Taunt even. but we chose Darkest Lariat because it was just nice into like Solgaleo, and having that dark move is just really nice for the Shadow Rider.
Yeah, definitely. And so at the end of the day, like the fact that we came to very similar teams says a lot about the strength of this composition. Do you want to talk me through the game plans that you had? Because I told you, I'm especially curious whether we came to different game plans against some of the more common teams in the metagame.
So I guess versus like Swordfish in general, I mean, it's all about Palkia preservation, right? Sometimes you could literally it depends on the variant, if they have Gastrodon or if they have Amoonguss or if they have whatever, right? Or it's just like the Joe version with Grimmsnarl. I feel like that's actually the easiest one. You can just lead like Indeedee, a Palkia, and a tendency that I noticed was a lot of players would just protect Zacian turn 1 and then try and attack with their restricted or like try and airstream with Zapdos or whatever. So all I would do is just click Helping Hand and then Wormwind. Then the Zacians do nothing, right? They can't KO me. I just click Follow Me, and now they're either forced to swap or sack their Zacian. And then it just goes downhill from there for them. So I think my Winnenden, they just led like Ogre plus something. I just clicked I clicked Helping Hand Wormwind, and they didn't expect me to just knock out their Kyogre turn 1. But like for example, something like that, if I just pick apart their team like that, it just Swordfish is always like an 80-20 in my favor.
And I think that really highlights the strength of the double redirection that we had on this team, is that people are so reliant on play rough Zacian and then these single target moves to KO Palkia, but when you have two different redirection mons, that they never go through. And because you have that redirection, even if you are clicking Helping Hand, that they don't really have the ability to click play rough very safely, because if they call it wrong and they play rough an Indeedee, you're just KOing their Zacian. They can't afford that. And even if they call it right, they're like, sure, we're trading the Palkia for the Zacian. We still have the ability to play the game, but they have to make that. That's a really difficult read for them to make.
At worst, I'm like, we're seeing a 50-50, right? So it's really good. Against the Palkia Ice Rider stuff, I said this already, but having Amoonguss, just preserving Amoonguss and making sure they don't kill it with Ice Rider is really important. I actually don't really bring Porygon against that. I feel like you need like double redirection then plus Zacian Palkia. What other big teams are there? I guess the Yveltal stuff, it was mostly just about wasting their max and making sure that the Yveltal just doesn't go crazy. Quaking and just negating the dark or the max darkness drops is really important. And that's where Porygon 2 can be brought, but it really just depends on the variant. Against Z, I probably would have brought like... You can make an argument for like Zacian and Indeedee maybe. I think I need a bit more time to think about that matchup, but it's like also late game max does really well into that too. Just making sure you manage redirectors, I think, is really important.
That team sort of has 3 turns to really like do a ton of damage, and then after that it's really reliant on those airstream boosts that it accumulated, kind of letting it finish the job. But this team, obviously, there's no speed control. I mean, there's Trick Room, but that's about it. And Trick Room can be useful when you're playing those airstream teams, but also generally speaking, we're focusing on redirection, so being faster than us doesn't really matter. And so because of that, that's kind of how I guess you want to play against those type of teams from what I've seen, where they're going to have these really powerful single target moves. They're going into our redirection slots, and we have Zacian and Palkia that are still going to be alive at the end of it.
Yep. And also, this is where Koba Amoonguss would be very useful, but I do not have that. But at least I'm not sacrificing the Palkia Calyrex Ice matchup, so we do take those. Trying to think of what else was relevant. I guess Solgaleo, like just foul play it. That's usually what it came down to. But I'll talk a bit more about the my match against Zach in a bit, because that was specifically because normally I'd expect like Solgaleo Kyogre, you just kill the ogre, just kill everything around the Solgaleo, and usually P2 can clean up, right?
Right. Or Zacian with Sacred Sword can do 60%, 70% to it. Yeah,
it's always a 2-shot with that. What else was relevant for this regional besides the Joe team?
I think those were the big teams that we were worried about. Swordfish, the Calyrex Ice Palkia stuff. I guess, do you have an approach to the mirror?
I did play the mirror, and it was Palkia and Didi.
Okay.
They had so when I played the mirror, they had Ditto and Aleki, and that's kind of scary. They also had I think Incinerilla too, but they never brought them. So what I normally do if they have like Ditto, or if I'm fighting like your team, from like let's say Victory Road, I'd probably just make sure it's always like Palkia plus a redirector. So whoever they copy, they can't knock out Zacian in one hit. That was really big. And I also got a Quake boost at some point on my Zacian in that set, so I was able to just live everything from that and the Lucky too. But it's all about just making sure the Ditto can't get in the right position and making sure you can just sweep from there.
Right. That was another team where Palkia teams in general, entirely single target moves, and so having that double redirection can be so valuable there.
I guess Expanding Force isn't, but it's like a terrain is not up. But yeah. Also, that's where being max speed modest came in clutch, because that person was also slower than me, so I was able to just knock them out there. In hindsight, I do wish I was a bit bulkier, because there were points where I was just taking too much from like Wildfire plus blades and all that. But that's with the Joe matchup, which is kind of icky.
Well, I guess we've beaten around the bush enough. Do you want to talk about
here we go. In the room? Yeah. Oh no. So those were my only two losses, Chongjun and Joe. I did play Joe in Swiss round 6, which is very fortunate because it knocked me into the bracket where nobody was playing Sun. So we do take those. It is hard. It's very hard because, and I saw your video. It's you have to call every turn right or you lose. That's just how it is. Against Joe, I almost got him game 1, but he had Grim as his last mon. He led Zard, Dawn, and then had Grim, Zacian. He set screens late, and my Zacian barely misses the KO on his Zacian. He lived with like 10 HP, and I lost. Game 2, I tried like Incin Zacian, and then was like, all right, I'm gonna fake out the Grim, blade the Dawn, swap in Ndidi, and then just blade the Dawn again. Because that would force him to bring Incin, and if he has Incin, then I can just use Palkia to sweep the rest of it if he does do a manual swap. But he called that, and then he maxed, and then I lost. So yeah, it didn't really work out. But I was okay with losing to Joe because again, I just didn't have to play any more Sun, which was very fortunate. And I just kept playing the Swordfish that I wanted to play with this team, and that's how the rest of it went. Against Chongjun, we know we talked about this matchup. I know you said Porygon 2 is very very good, at least if I could get it off. But unfortunately, he just kind of played very aggressive against me. He was very opposite to Joe. Joe was more conservative, I think. He never brought Gastro, which I think is also wrong, like you said.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chongjun just played it really well. With that, yeah, I just can't ever click Max Geyser. It's just so annoying.
Right. My impression of that regional, Chongjun, I felt like even my matchup against Joe was giving me chances to play the game.
Yeah.
And even against like Aaron, he was giving Aaron chances to win the game, even though people didn't necessarily call that out when they had it. Chongjun just played. I feel like he played perfectly the entire time.
I think he only lost to Zardochar and Aaron. That like just one game. That's it from each of them.
Yeah, I mean, he was absurd, and like,
yeah,
even against you, like, I know your game plan in game 1 was just click Helping Hand, Wormwind, KO the Zard, and he still managed to pull it through.
Mm-hmm. It was a combination of the Wildfire chip and the blades was just too much, which is where a bulkier Palkia would be kind of nice, but unfortunately, I did not consider that. Yeah, the mirror or that team, like, it's not impossible. Don't get me wrong, but it's just annoying.
Right, and that's the other. But like Chongjun and Joe are both amazing players, right? And between the two of us, we had 4 losses, and 3 of them were to those 2 players. And so like it's so hard to like. I think that this team can beat worse players using that team. It still gives you room to outplay.
100%. Yep.
But also, it beats like everything else, which is why I think it's such a solid team.
Yep. any Kyogre stuff, it's just gone. Like they normally can't break through this. They have to consider their Zacian or they just lose, right? Solgaleo stuff struggles because they struggle knocking out my Porygon, or Palkia for that matter. Even at +2, like a Quake is not stab, it's not doing enough damage. And like everything, it's just really like the double reduction again is just really annoying for everything.
Yeah. And so I know you did an Ask Me Anything on Reddit. And in particular, I saw one question that was just like your thoughts on the future of Palkia and its place in the metagame. And I'm curious as to what you think about that.
Yeah. So I know I said that Ice Rider Palkia definitely has it's got I think it has more room to grow. I think Dusclops isn't very good. I know people like it for Will-O-Wisp and all that, but I think stuff like I know I was originally going to bring Tapu Fini to this regional. I think it has room to grow. Like maybe like it's a support Fini, that kind of thing. It just stops Amoonguss, right? Stops all that status stuff. No Thunderwave. But like, yeah, I think that core specifically has room to grow. I think as the meta evolves into beating the Joe team and Changju team, we're probably going to see more. I think we're going to see a bit of Palkia come back. I don't think it's like completely like gone. I think it's just a really unfortunate place to be right now. Just with all the sun, it's just annoying.
Yeah, I agree, and I definitely think that Palkia is a versatile enough restricted. It gets so many different moves that you can definitely build the team and find a way to beat it. It's just a question of can you find a way to beat it without conceding other relevant matchups that you will run into over the course of an 8 or 9 round regional.
That's why, I felt like just Calyrex Ice was not. I was conceding the Yveltal matchup, which fortunately I did not play. But if I did, I probably would have been screwed because it's not good. They just blow you up and you can't do anything.
And on that note, do you want to talk about some of the notable matchups that you did actually play?
Yeah, so going back to Solgaleo, I did play Zach Emerzian, I feel like his last name is. Yeah, I think so. He got a game 1 loss because he put Earth Power instead of Earthquake on his Landorus, which was really unfortunate for him. But this matchup was a bit of a struggle, and that game 1 loss made it a lot easier for me, at least. So there's 2 different leads he could do. He could either do Bulldoze, try and take a KO. If he crits my P2, I lose, which ended up happening in the first game. Or he could do Grim and Solgaleo, which he decided to do because it was the safest thing. I did flowchart this the night before, and it was just annoying. If he ever normally the lineup plays always just Quake Trick Room, so then I can foul play Quake foul play, then knocks out Solg, and then everything else just folds to Zacian and Incineroar. Finny doesn't do anything because I can just pivot out instant. Like once Solg goes out, I just pivot out instant. I fake out Grim, Quake. Now you're not doing any damage. But unfortunately, he did crit me. And then game 2, he decided to swap in Finny over the Solg, and I quaked it. It did a good chunk of damage. And eventually, I pivoted in Porygon 2 and Zacian, so I could get Trick Room on the last turn where I'm killing Grim. So he's forced to bring in Solg. I can single out the Calyrex Shadow, which is the Solgaleo enabler, right? Because then he can't Bulldoze. And once I knock everything out, it's just pretty much over because I can just Earth Power, Sacred Sword. I live in Earthquake at neutral, so that doesn't really matter to me that he has that +3 defense because I can just Sacred Sword and Earth Power for game. And yeah, that was my strategy going into that one.
And you can watch that set on the, I think, official Pokemon YouTube or Twitch. The VOD should still be up.
Yeah.
Because that was on stream.
Yeah. And I think another normal match. I would talk about the Joe matchup, but we already did that. I did play. Let's see. I guess Jeremy. Yeah, Jeremy was. It was just interesting because he game 2 he revealed Swords Dance on his Duskvay. And that was very scary because P2 does not take that very well. Even with the bold nature, it's probably a 2-shot. And what happened was I singled him. I thought I won, right? Like I killed his Amoonguss with my foul play. I'm like, all right, if he does anything, like I could just proc his policy, recover, and just cycle through until he's slowly faints, right? He reveals Swords Dance, and now I'm panicking because I don't want to go to a game 3. but and I'm like, okay, it'll be all right. I'll live this. He's only at +2. It's not that big of a deal. And then I take like over 50%. I'm like, crap. Game 3, unfortunately, he hard swaps his Amoonguss when I Hydro, because he's like calm, really bulky and so on, right? I just decided to Expanding Force to break sub. I had no intention of like attacking Amoonguss. I just want to break the Mimikyu disguise. And so I pump and Expanding Force, and he swaps in Amoonguss on the slot, and it just kind of gets evaporated by Expanding Force. So, and then the game's just kind of over, right? Because you can't really do anything without Amoonguss. So again, that's why I don't really like Solgaleo and Dustman. It's just it kind of folds once your redirectors are gone, especially to a team like this where Palkia could just kind of pop off. And also Foul Play Porygon 2 is just a really good enabler of punishing the weakness policy users.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, those are all the questions I have. Again, congratulations on your top 4 finish. Again, 2nd consecutive regional that you got top 4. Very, very impressive. Did you have any final words or shout outs that you wanted to give?
Sure. I want to shout out Zekrom Zeke, KJ Kitchen, and Owen for Eclipse Owl for helping me like with the spreads and coming up with the 6, I guess. Well, thank you for playing on ladder. I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't have the confidence to bring the Zacian without you guys. So, I greatly appreciate that. Let's see. Shout out to Business Time. Who else? Oh yeah, I guess Postwick. Postwick was very helpful during Top Cut. Trying to solve this. Shout out to Enosh, Borgie, and everyone else who was able to help me, and Cyan. I do Metafy if anyone's interested in that. I'm probably gonna make my own review video, or I guess just a recap soon of my full run. So, because I know you don't want to listen to how I'm clicking Helping Hand, Max Geyser, and everything. So I'm gonna cover every match and have a team report published soon. But I think it's about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, your socials will be linked in the description down below if you want to go check out Alex's Metafee page or check out your team report when it comes out, the longer form team report. And of course, the importable will be in the description, and the rental code is on screen right now if you want to try this team out. I greatly encourage you to try it out. I think this team is absolutely bonkers, except for maybe in like one matchup where it's just okay.
Maybe try the team in a couple months when Wheezing Kyogre is very good, and then I think this actually probably beats that. To some extent.
Absolutely. What is Wheezing Kyogre going to do when you max Quake over and over again? Palkia?
Nothing. Literally nothing. Which is when the sun when sun usage goes down, this is gonna rise back up. I think at least.
Oh, absolutely.
Or maybe even Calyrex Ice Rider, for that matter. I think might have a place once we. I know Babiri Berry Swords Dance was the most popular thing right now. I think. I don't know if Wolfie ran that. I'm not sure. I know he had Speed Swap. That's all I remember from that one set on stream.
I haven't seen his team.
Yeah. But yeah, I think this team come back in a couple of months. I think it can obviously be refined, of course, like I said earlier. But yeah, I think it definitely has a place in a couple of months.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see how people like you continue to develop the team. I know I've said I'm going to put it down for a little bit, but obviously
I will
Indianapolis Regional is.
I kind of want to see the Weezings. I want to see the rise of Weezing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. I would like nothing better for Palkia.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, thank you again for coming on the channel. I really appreciate it. And until next time, I will see you all later.
Peace.